and they end up missing the tournament this March, I don't see a world where you can bring Hubert Davis back for another season because these donors aren't going to believe in him and they're not going to put up more money for him. And so therefore, you're just going to be stuck in a worse situation without RJ Davis, without Ian Jackson, without Drake Powell, because those guys are likely going to the league. They're going to be in hell after this season if Hubert Davis is still there and they miss the tournament, Ben. We're live. College basketball show right before Christmas time. We're recording Wednesday, December 18th. We're here with Cole. We're here with Ben. Fellas, Merry Christmas. College basketball season. We are almost at conference play, Cole.
Oh, I'm hyped. It's been a great season so far. Awesome college basketball season so far. And it's only going to get better on the road to March.
The storylines have been awesome so far. There are so many different things. We have elite freshmen. We have elite seniors. We have blue bloods that matter again. We have blue bloods that kind of stink right now. We'll get into that very shortly. And we have the SEC dominance right now, and so
the
many
Atlantic 10's really good, which has me excited. I love Atlantic 10 basketball, so that's been fun.
I had a point I wanted to bring up because I know you're an A10 guy. You remember this Mountain West? I can't believe we're doing this in the A block, but you remember the Mountain West last year that there was this crazy propaganda that all of a sudden the Mountain West is the third best league in college basketball for some reason. How can we get that same propaganda for the A10? Because the Mountain West is not that this year. March opened people's eyes to that, and they realized, okay, we can't keep doing this anymore. Now, I think the A10, there's a little opening for them to be like, you know what? We're better than the ACC.
Well, hey, the A10 won 2 games in the tournament last year. I mean, they had 2 teams in the round of 32. So, the numbers speak for themselves. And we'll see. I mean, because I think that once like Robbie Avila, he gets healthy, St. Louis will be better. Like Loyola and Rhode Island were like 2 of the like final 7 teams that were undefeated in college basketball. Rhode Island, I think, lost. And then Dayton obviously has been really good. So honestly, the A10's looking pretty good heading into conference play. I think that once conference play, gets going, then people will kind of start to wake up towards the Atlantic 10 becoming just a mega conference, just
a sneaky powerhouse. That's what we're talking about.
Which A10 Twitter always jokes about it's a 0 bid league because, some years it's really bad and it's just become like a running joke that there should be no team that goes to the tournament. But I think that this year's A10 is definitely one of the better ones I've seen. In fact, like going back to like 2014, they had like a couple teams make the NCAA tournament. They got a couple auto bids. So in the past, it's been a pretty good pretty good. It's been like maybe the best mid-major league. So I think that this year, we're going to get back to them probably getting more than just one.
This segment right here, this proves that we are not a sellout podcast because we easily could have started with Cooper Flagg. Is he player of the year? Oh, Kentucky, are they back with Mark Pope? No, we grit and grind, like what Ben's wearing right now. We grit and grind.
Yes.
A10 basketball, baby.
All
That's
ball
what
is
you're
good
here
ball.
For. All ball is good ball.
Is. All ball is good ball.
All ball is good ball is equal to love is love. How about that?
Perfect. Perfect.
Ben, any A10 thoughts?
My future head coach is coaching in the A10 this year, so
there we go. All right, love
Whether it's Ryan Odom or someone else, they're probably coaching the A10. So, yeah. I love A10 basketball.
Nolan Smith doesn't coach in the A10.
Hey, he's been a part of Memphis being back.
Yeah,
it's Nolan Smith. I remember seeing him on the sideline and literally like during Maui and laughing and being like, of course he's on Penny Hardaway's staff. That's just perfect.
And also, I'm always going to be
a Nolan Smith podcast.
I'm always going to be a Nolan Smith guy. But let's get into some meat and potatoes here. North Carolina Tar Heels, they're terrible. They stink. No, if you're listening on podcasts and on Spotify and Apple right now, no, I'm not smiling ear to ear right now. I stop, guys. This is bittersweet for me as a Duke fan, fellas, because Carolina right now, they're a bona fide bubble team right now. They're 6-5. They're struggling. Dayton is their only resume-building win at this point on neutral court right now, and they had to come back from 21 in that game. Really should not have won that game. And that is their only resume-building win, and it is bittersweet for Duke fans. Look, Duke fans, this is a call to everyone. You need to start rooting on Carolina. You need to start rooting for Carolina to do well, because this ACC is so poopy. It's so bad. It is so historically terrible right now that every game is a bad game in the ACC if you're a Duke fan right now. So with Carolina being a bubble team, we'll get into that now. I had to get that out there. But with Cole, what's wrong with Carolina?
Well, they don't have a great front court. So that's a huge problem that they're running into.
Which is crazy, because this is Carolina
it's
basketball.
Carolina basketball. We're used to the two big men that run the court, and it's like
where is
crashing
John
the boards,
Henson
getting offensive glass.
Yes, leading the nation in rebounding every year. It's like, where is that team?
Kennedy Meeks, Isaiah Hicks.
Yes,
Bradley
exactly.
Johnson. Where are Ed Davis?
Tyler
Come on, where are we? Yeah,
Was Armando Bacot running out of 7 years of eligibility, or is the Carolina big extinct now?
It's crazy. And this overall discussion has to go back to Hubert Davis, because I don't want to hear lack of NIL funds. I don't want to hear any of that. Look, Carolina's obviously showing they're willing to pay money. They match the money for AJ DeBansa. They're paying Bill Belichick. They have the money.
Yeah,
that's not an excuse. It is a matter of, you thought Jalen Washington and these other guys on this team, Withers, could be a viable option at the 5 position, when we've really had no proof that they could work at that spot. And Carolina right now, they are on the verge of not making the NCAA tournament. UCLA, it's crazy to say this in December. It's crazy. Saturday's a must-win for the Carolina Tar Heels against UCLA. And if they don't win on Saturday and they end up missing the tournament this March, I don't see a world where you can bring Hubert Davis back for another season, because these donors aren't going to believe in him, and they're not going to put up more money for him. And so therefore, you're just going to be stuck in a worse situation without RJ Davis, without Ian Jackson, without Drake Powell, because those guys are likely going to the league. They're going to be in hell after this season if Hubert Davis is still there and they miss the tournament, Ben.
Yeah, no, I mean, the Hubert Davis issue is it's like loaded in a lot of different ways, because you look at him and you go, I think he's not a good coach. But then right when you think he's not a good coach,
they make the national title game.
They make the national title game with a garbage team, or they get a 1 seed last year, right? Like they're just so all over the map. With that being said, it's never really felt like Hubert was the long-term answer. I mean, that's like premature, but I think I would like to see like Carolina fans' pulse on the situation. Because like Jalen Washington, that guy screams. There's always players like this, the eternal 1 year away player, where like you're like, I like what he has, but he's a 10-minute guy, but he could be a bigger like piece for us next year. Yeah. Jalen Washington has been that for like, this is the 3rd year where I feel that way. And so maybe he's just not the guy. Like I think, and it's not like I think Jalen Washington, like that wasn't plan A. They wanted to go get Clifford from
they wanted Adu as well.
Yeah, like they wanted a lot of these guys, right? So it's not like they weren't trying. And that's where it becomes unacceptable at that point. It's like, look, you got to land one of those guys. It should be being a center for North Carolina, like being a center in North Carolina as a big, that should be one of the more appealing places to play. And if it's not, that's an issue.
And the other thing too is, before you go, Cole, is that Carolina, this is the first time in a decade they've had a number 1 overall recruit take an official visit, not commit, not sign with the school, just take an official visit. It's been a decade. And I'll be honest, I have inside info on this. Carolina wasn't even in the picture for AJ. It was between Bama and BYU. So therefore, they weren't even actually in those sweepstakes. Look, they're recruiting decently well. Ian Jackson, Drake Powell, those are solid pickups, but they're not even really in the running for these elite guys. And at some point, it's got to be on Hubert Davis at this point, Cole.
Yeah. Well, Ben, did you want to say something real quick? Or
I was gonna say, weirdly, they never are.
Yeah, but
They're not like some recruiting powerhouse. They never.
They're not, and I think that is where the issue is with Hubert, because they don't rely. That program's never really relied on like the big name guys. They've kind of built like national championship teams out of just a bunch of dogs. Honestly, I mean the 2017 team. I don't think they really even have anybody from that team that's in the NBA. So
3 to 5 year guys too. 3 to 5 year guys.
Justin Jackson still playing?
I don't know if Justin is still playing.
We'll
I mean, he did for a little bit, but it's just like, that's
Joel
never
Berry's
really
on
been
my
the
TV, I'll
Carolina
tell you
way. So it's like,
no, yeah, like that was my point. Is it's like they're not like a one and done factory. I think though it is an issue. Well, also they've got, if you were to go, let's play UNC's 5 best players, their tallest players like 6'5".
Yeah,
That's the biggest issue, is they have an abundance of guards or small wings that you really like. And you want to get more minutes for all of them, but you also have to have someone over 6'6" on the court.
But do you?
But none of them are good. So,
but do you need someone? Hear me out. I've been having this theory all season long, and I've been I think we're going to get it here soon, because I think they're looking for answers anywhere they can get it. I think there's a world we end up seeing Drake Powell play the 5 for Carolina at some point, and they just run all their 5. They run their 5 best players in a lineup, run and gun, because you know what? They're getting destroyed on the glass in critical moments nonstop. It doesn't matter if they play Jalen Washington, Allen Lubin. It doesn't matter what big they play. They're still getting destroyed on the glass. So why not just play 5 guards and make it hell for the other team to guard you?
I don't hate it. It's like create the mismatches. Like it's almost like you're like gaslighting. It's like, okay, like UNC, everyone's looking at UNC being like, okay, the mismatch is the fact that they don't have a front court, but like you could like it's like call an ambulance, but not for me. When you just like bring out like a 6'5" center, and then the other team's like, oh, they don't have any front court presence, and then they're like, oh crap, I guess we got to play 5 guards. How do we match up with this?
Exactly, because on the offensive side of the ball, with either any of these bigs, it's kind of a net zero on offense. You're almost playing 4 on 5 at that point, and then on defense, what are they really bringing if they're getting destroyed time and time again underneath? So I think that's my question to you, Cole, is this fixable this season?
I think it is, because guards win in March. So it's like, as long as, and they've got like a lead guy with RJ. So it's like, if he can just keep them in check, be the team leader, I think they can get it fixed. I don't believe in them. But
they're
a
dangerous 9 seed, though. They're a dangerous 9 seed. You don't want to play.
Exactly. So that's where I'm like, I don't want to give up, because we've seen this story before. It's like where you just need a team with a group of guards, and especially in like ACC, like a typical Miami team. Like Miami would just roll out some guards and just spawn to a Final Four out of nowhere. So it's like
that's what I'm saying. Like, how is that not the blueprint for this season? And I guess it goes to speak about how awesome Norchad Ormir was that season with Miami. But like,
I love that guy.
Yeah,
I love that guy.
But like, he's not that big. He's an undersized 5, and
I know that's what I felt like. I felt like Lubin was kind of like I thought like the dream was that he was Omir. You know what I mean? I think that was their vision. But I think you see undersized centers who don't stretch the floor. It's like they're kind of like Norchad Omir's an enigma. Like it's not like a blueprint you can copy and have success with. I think he's sort of the exception, not the rule. Kind of like you're not in the NBA having 6'5" centers like Draymond Green. That's an exception, not the rule.
Yeah, so. That's true.
And the other thing about that too is with Carolina right now, they're 6-5 right now, and they don't have these resume building wins going forward and whatnot. There's no room for error going forward now, because let's say you lose to a team like Boston College in ACC play. That's going to ding you so much going forward, and it's almost they're almost stuck. Luckily, that Dayton win's looking better and better, Cole. Shout out the Flyers.
That should have been a Dayton win, all right?
It should have.
I did not stay up until 1 to 2 a.m. on that Monday night just to watch them choke that game. Okay, I'm still furious about that.
We talked before we were recording about living on the East Coast and whatnot. Oh man, dude, the West Coast has made me so soft. I was sitting there, I was watching the Maui. It was like 11:45. I'm like, oh, I'm a little sleepy. Meanwhile, everybody on the East Coast is like, it's 2 a.m. I have to get up for work at 7.
Yeah, especially in this town. That was.
Oh,
but you know what?
Goodness.
Those games are core memories for people, so I think that's a cool thing too.
Yeah, exactly. But talking about the ACC real quick. Is this a one bid league? If realistically, probably 3-4 bids max.
Yeah, I'd say about 3.
You've got.
I do think
Duke and Clemson are probably locks,
and I think that North Carolina is going to sneak in. I just still believe
I think they will.
They've just got too many guards.
Wake is primed to fumble this one. I mean, it's Forbes.
I'm out on Wake. I'm out.
It's Seth Greenberg reincarnated.
Seth Greenberg reincarnated. We
and I love Forbes too. That's the hard part about it.
He'll be great on game day.
He's hilarious. He would be.
Replacing Seth Greenberg.
He's the Wake Forest. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and you look at the rest of this conference, it's just Virginia, that program stinks. Miami, they stink. Georgia Tech is annoyingly frisky. Still, they can't be good. They're just frisky. Syracuse, they stink. Louisville, they're just it's not even their
injuries.
fault.
Injuries killed them.
It's not Louisville's fault. Notre Dame, they're frisky. We'll see.
There's your year away team.
I think the problem with I think it's not fair, but I think we were wanting Notre Dame and Georgia Tech to be above frisky and just be good. I think the ACC needed that, and they're close, but
bubble team.
Yeah, but they're not quite there yet. I think that's in the realm of possibility next year for both those programs. But Karter, I also want to set the record straight. We've been ACC defenders. We were on the ACC side of the ACC Mountain West debates last year. So I think we're not ACC haters like John Rothstein. We're coming into this, the national media actually hated the ACC last year and loved the Mountain West. We can't defend this anymore, though.
No,
this is where we draw the line. We're we can't do this.
When you were just getting bent over and just getting obliterated by the SEC and the SEC ACC Challenge, you won 2 games, and it was Clemson and Duke that won. Every other team got demolished in these games. They got destroyed, and there's no defending the ACC anymore. Even if we get to March, you could always go back to, well, these teams always do well in March. Even if Duke wins the national championship, that just means Duke was good. That does not mean the ACC was good this season. It is correct. It is an utter disaster, Cole. As an outsider looking in, do you just look at the ACC and the CW and go, ugh?
Hey, I like the CW broadcast. I think they actually they're pretty good. You guys nailed it. I think that it's a 2-3 bid league. We know that we know the top 3. It's just will Clemson choke away their season. That's a concern.
Pitt will be in there too. Pitt will mess around.
You think Pitt will mess around? Okay, we'll throw Pitt in there too, and then North Carolina, obviously, which we just ran through. So
I really think this Carolina team's in real trouble now. I mean,
is that the Duke? Is that your Duke fandom showing, or is that just unbiased?
They need a Duke win. They need a Duke win.
Yeah,
that's an absolute must, and they'll probably get one. They'll probably shoot 4. They're going to have to shoot 45% from 3 to beat Duke this year because Duke's big.
And that's going to be such an annoying.
Yeah,
I can just see.
They're going to do it.
I can see you guys being so annoyed because you have to take Maluach off the court. Maluach just looks like this big gangly I don't know what to do because he's guarding Drake Powell.
Yeah, the thing is he hasn't even been the guy really. It's been Malik Brown, and Malik Brown's going to be just fine against anybody.
He's just Malik Brown is just rock solid.
Yeah, he's amazing. And with Duke Carolina, to be honest, in my heart of hearts, I'm usually pessimistic about the Duke-Carolina game. I really think Duke sweeps them this year. And I picked Carolina to go to the Final Four because I just believed so much in the guard play. I thought Cadeau would make that jump, and he kind of has. He's a little more aggressive. He's a little better scoring the ball right now. And RJ Davis, he's still doing RJ Davis things, but the front court is just so. I was worried about the front court. We talked about it very extensively in our preview, Ben, going into this season. I said this Carolina front court is going to be the number one issue, but I think the guard play can outweigh it. And I underestimated how bad this front court is. I mean, it is atrocious. And that's why I'm so worried about it is they keep coming out in these games. Every game, they're down 12 at halftime, down 8 at halftime. That is just not sustainable going forward. Shout out Western Kentucky if you're watching on YouTube right now. But that's just not a sustainable path going forward. It's not even my Duke fandom. My Duke fandom would say, ha, 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 suck it, Carolina. You guys are terrible, blah, blah, blah. I'm actually rooting for Carolina. I'm rooting for it. I need the ACC to be good. I like it when Carolina is also good. You're a stupid fan if you want your other team to be irrelevant in your rivalry.
Absolutely. I mean, as an Ohio State football fan, like I'm
Michigan to be
person
good.
that can see things with a full picture here. What Michigan keeps doing to them is absolutely amazing for the rivalry. Like, it's a good thing that both
this year, probably not.
Well, I think even this year is great because
this year is why you needed. This year is exactly why you needed your rival to be really good, though, because when you lose that game, it's extra embarrassing.
Yeah,
so it's like I want it to not be embarrassing. This is where it became embarrassing, and that's where I think it hurt you. Where you're like, Michigan was a 6-5 team going into this game. I wish they were 9-2. You know?
Yeah, but it creates such a story that's organic that it's like it's not manufactured. It is something that they went out there and punked them. Not that we're talking about football here, but like, you know, I think something like that is really cool. Maybe I'm just such a sports geek that I'm just infatuated with stuff like that. I understand your perspective, but I just think it's amazing for the rivalry because it's just
you're a sucker for a storyline.
I love a good storyline. You know, it's like it makes
sports are romantic for you. Yeah,
exactly. And I love organic storylines too, not some manufactured controversy that's just dumb. Like something where they went out there and they proved it to them, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah, you're not Cole. You're not taking. You're not doing it. You're not doing the thing on the first date with sports, man. You're taking it to the third, fourth date. You're in for the long haul, huh?
I'm just a sports geek. That's just what I am. And I'm not. You're not like I'm going on ESPN. I need my Cowboys takes now. Like that's not me. No,
that's how to put this delicately, slutty behavior. If you're like, I need Stephen A. Cowboys content in my face now.
It's like we don't need that. There's stories everywhere. You know, it's like
we are delicate flowers in our sports watching realm.
Yes, and a sports oasis.
That's this is getting really, really weird. If you're listening right now, I love it.
All right, contenders. Let's talk about national championship contenders.
I had something else. Spin zone, real quick. So Duke beating Carolina Carolina beating Duke in the Final Four. Good thing for me then, right? Because then it makes the rivalry better.
It makes Hubert Davis still the head coach.
That would make him the head coach for. Yeah,
it wouldn't matter. He would have been the head coach anyways. Anyhow, all right. Let's move on. Let's talk about national title contenders. I'm gonna name a team. You tell me if they're a national title contender. I'll start with you, Cole, and then Ben, you answer right after. The Tennessee Volunteers, Cole.
I think they could be. They're not my pick to win a national championship, but they're a contender. Yeah, absolutely, they're a contender. Okay, absolutely.
All right, Ben.
I echo the same sentiment of being like, yes. I don't think so. Like, I don't think they will, but they are absolutely a national title contender. They will be a 1 seed.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
they might be the number 1 overall. They give off like regular season hero energy.
They're the same team really as last year. You just plug in Chaz, who comes in from North Florida, and replace him with Dalton, and it's been a seamless transition. And I think that's really cool.
And they've got a little more other options offensively too, because that's always going to be the question with them: is do they have guys who can score? Because I don't have questions about their defense ever.
Yeah. And the other thing too is it's it's not as so reliant on, hey, Dalton Connect, we need 25 out of you tonight. It's a little more balanced, a little more everybody's getting involved. And because last season, it got a little too reliant on Dalton Connect having to put up 20, 25 points in games. But Chaz can be that guy when it's, hey, game's tight, we need a bucket. And you have to have that guy.
Which is
that
important.
makes you a national title contender when you have everything else around that as well. We can go quick here on a couple of these. Auburn, I think we all think is a national title contender.
Absolutely. I think they're the front runner. And because I just think they have proven to me from the get-go, they mean business. Obviously the Duke loss, that's great for Duke. But they come out there and they give a full 40 minutes of just pure electricity. And I think that is a sign of a team that is very legit, very locked in. And they're deep, so I think they've got a lot going for them.
Yeah. And that Duke-Auburn game, like, you came away from it going, these teams are Final Four front runners, like top of the top national title contenders. I think what makes this Auburn team special is, Karter, you know this, like, I'm historically an Auburn hater. With the with the whole Virginia 2019 thing, we got last year where I picked Yale to beat them and everyone dunked on me, and then I got to dunk on them. With Danny Wolf, the GOAT.
Somehow.
But this team's different because they do their same BS. Like it is very much a Bruce Pearl Auburn thing.
Absolutely.
To have a fight on the plane,
mm-hmm.
and then they land the plane. They drop off the players that were in the fight. And then they go to a top 10 team and beat them.
I know.
This team's different. In the past, they would do that. They were a bunch of knuckleheads, and they'd end up losing that game by like 12 because 2 of their players didn't make it. But they can overcome that because they're so good. This is the best Auburn team Bruce Pearl's had. They're prime national title contenders.
Yeah, and the
guard plays better. The guard plays better.
Yeah,
those
not
dudes
the
are
same
just
guards
hoopers,
last year.
man. Not at all. I mean, shout out Jordan Mason guard Katie Johnson.
It's hilarious he's on George Mason.
I was watching George Mason Duke last night. I'm like, Katie Johnson and Darius Maddox. George Mason's, they got some guys on this team.
Another A10 team.
Yeah. I was like,
another one.
This team's going to be a tough out on like the quarterfinals in the A10 tournament. Like they're not going to mess around.
I wish I watched them when they had Tyler Kolek and Jordan Miller.
Yeah.
Is this a George Mason basketball podcast?
Yeah.
Jim Larinaga. Just bring all the George Mason legends.
Yeah.
But with Auburn as well, my only concern about Auburn is 2 things going into March. Is one, Johni Broome getting into foul trouble. And like, let's say in the second round, they're playing a frisky Michigan State, Carolina team, and Broome gets into foul trouble early on. Then do the guards get a little ISO shot happy? Probably my only concern with this Auburn team is just, sometimes these guards, they hit so many tough shots. It's incredible. They're so good. Sometimes the shot selection is a little worrisome, but they can hit those shots, so it's typically not a problem. Iowa State, are they a national title contender?
I'd say yes, too. I think this is the best team that Otzelberger's had there. And
they're clear Big 12 favorites at this point, right? Because Kansas is dropping off. Houston's dropping off as well. Arizona is a bubble team, surprisingly, at this point. Kansas State Kansas State's falling apart. BYU, they've got a lot of work to do.
They haven't hit their stride.
Yeah, they still got a lot of work to do. And so the Big 12, I mean, they might be the only national title contender out of the Big 12 if we really break it down.
I don't want to do a victory lap, but I was very high on Iowa State
from
the get-go.
But I still think, I'll be honest, like this is spoiler alert. I think Duke and Auburn are in their own tier, to be honest. And then I think it's a drop.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
No, I agree.
I think they're neck and neck. And then we can talk about this is the one I really want to get into. Because I think we all agree Iowa State, they're good. They're rock solid.
I know where you're going. I know where you're going with this.
Is Kentucky a national title contender?
Oh, that's not where I thought you were going. Never mind.
That's where I thought he was going.
Yeah, is Kentucky a national title contender?
Yes, I'd say so too. I mean, I think we have a lot of really great top teams in college basketball. Like especially teams like Kentucky and Auburn, where they've just got such fun offenses. They have so many options. I mean, Kentucky goes out there without Lamont and beats Gonzaga, and then they bring Lamont back, and then they beat Louisville, and he has like a perfect game basically. So they just got so many options, and like they've got like a 3-point sniper with Brea. They've got good guards. Mark Pope has absolutely just completely been a home run hire for them.
Yeah.
I know you're BYU guys, so like that's been fun. I do worry about their defense per se, because they play a lot of high scoring games. But yeah, absolutely. I think they are. In fact, I think this is the best Kentucky team I feel like I've seen, even over the Oscar teams. I'd say they remind me, like, they're a little bit better than I like that 2020 team with Maxey and, like, quickly. I think this is probably the best team I've seen at Kentucky since probably 2019, the team that went to the Elite Eight. I think that they're that good this year.
So both of y'all are going national title contenders, Ben.
I'll say so. I do think I have concerns about, like, it's nice that they've got different guys on different days who step up.
Yeah.
I would kind of like to see maybe some more order or some more consistency. If they have, like, Uwe and Lamont Butler are like the guys, or those two and Jackson Robinson are the guys. I do think there are concerns, and we've talked about this, Karter. They are very solid everywhere, and they have a different star each game. But like when things get tight, it's a tied game with a minute left in the Elite Eight. Who are they going to? Does Mark Pope know which guy is the guy in those situations? That sounds like LeBron, like at the end of games, kind of like first take type thing. But I do think it matters that there might not be clarity there. But that's also a compliment to how deep they are and how many different guys are capable of carrying the load at different times.
Hey, they've got Lamont, who's hit the buzzer beater to go to a title game. So I
think it might be Lamont, especially after this Louisville game.
Yeah, that was a great game.
Would like, but I don't know if that makes sense. Like, I want to see, they've got like 8 solid guys that all feel like they're kind of on the same level. And it's like, I kind of like to see a little more clarity in terms of roles. And I think they'll continue to get that, but they're very good. They're very good.
That's the tricky thing with college basketball is you get these scenarios where a team starts out really well, and you get like a team that has a lot of talent, and then it's like the race, because then the team with a lot of talent that wasn't clicking early, by the time March gets here, they start to peak, and then that team like a Kentucky that was great from the get-go, are they going to be able to, they might get jumped by another team. So that's the problem with like picking a national title contender, even in the month of December. It's like we kind of run into that problem where it's like a team with a bunch of talent will just come out of nowhere. So it's trying to figure out that balance, And I feel like Kentucky's a team where they've got a lot of older guys. They've got guys, but they've clicked right away, which is a great sign, because they've got transfers that came from all over the place, like with Brea and Lamont. So,
and I just love watching them.
Yeah, so do I. They're really fun to watch.
They're BYU with they're playing like BYU did last year, Karter, but with blue blood level talent and not just LDS guys in a big Egyptian.
Yep. I don't know what it is, and I'll probably get burned for this. I still don't think Kentucky's a national title contender because I don't believe they have the one-on-one guy to get it done. And I also don't believe, I think they're too reliant on the 3-ball. What happens in a game when you're playing with a super inflated ball at noon on a Thursday and one team's hitting a little early and the 3's not falling? This team is so reliant on the 3-ball in March, and I don't know if that's sustainable through 6 games. They can make a Final Four, but I don't think they can win a national championship with this team. Now, that's not to say Mark Pope is a bad coach or anything like that. Mark Pope's going to be there for 30 years. He's going to recruit top talent. He's going to get one-on-one NBA dudes, and Mark Pope is going to win multiple national titles at the University of Kentucky. I just don't think it's this year because they're too reliant on that 3-ball. And I think that comes back to bite them. I think the max they can do is the Final Four because you watch their games, essentially outside of the Gonzaga game, which I really seriously don't know how Gonzaga blew that game, to be honest. That was an all-time choke job from Mark Few and them, and credit to Kentucky because they've done that to Duke and they've done that to Gonzaga. So big-time credit to Kentucky there. But if Kentucky shoots below 33 to 35% from 3, they struggle. They are screwed in these games. When you watch that Clemson game, the 3-ball wasn't going down, and we saw the result. And I think that can happen in March. And if they get a team with the right matchups, and when I think about it, when they have to go against a team like Auburn or Duke again, I know they beat Duke, so great example, Karter. But when they go up against those type of teams, I still think I would take those teams over them. I don't think they're a national title contender still. Might be dumb. It might be I might get burned for that one, but let's keep going. Let's go through some of these quickly, real quick. Duke, we all agree. We can move on from that. Alabama, we all agree. We all think Duke's a national title contender, right?
Yeah,
yes.
very much.
Okay. Yes.
Yep.
We don't need to
And
spend time on that.
Alabama, yes.
Alabama, yes, I think so as well, especially with Cliff Amore. I think Alabama's going to hit their stride at the right time.
They're awesome. They're
See,
awesome.
Okay, but you make that argument with Kentucky. I feel like Alabama that's the type of team where if it's not clicking for them, like because they play so fast and they do rely on that, if somebody can get them in the half court game and like slow them down, that's why Alabama's the one team every year. It's like it's either they're going far or they're not, because it's just they play such a unique style of college basketball. I mean, they play more pro. I just feel like in a 40-minute game, if it's not working. But Cliff changes things because they have a big man that is reliable and a monster. So it's like,
and I think that's totally fair. My difference between Alabama and Kentucky is, look, they play a similar style of game. I think when the game gets tight and it's a tie ball game, minute left, who do I trust? Mark Sears.
Yeah,
Mark Sears is the difference in that spot. But you could 100%. You've been right the last 3-4 years, of course, because Alabama gets caught in these spots. Now, you look at the UConn game last year, that's kind of different because UConn was just going to beat anybody in their path. But, like, it's, you look at the Brandon Miller teams, and how do they lose to San Diego State? Like, the San Diego State team wasn't even that good, and they just missed threes on that day. So I think that's a great point, too. Maybe you might have gotten me there, but we'll keep going. This one I'm very curious about, Florida.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to say they aren't, because they've gotten through the controversy that's already happened with the team with Golden. So it's like they've not slipped up at all.
And it's not like they haven't dominated their opponents either. Like Carolina, they were in control of most of that game. It got close at the end or whatever. And Carolina, I still think can be a good team, but like the other Power 5 teams they've played, they've handled them. Whether it's Wake Forest, whether it's Arizona State, whether it's Duke, they handled them no problem. I think Florida's actually a national title contender.
I think they absolutely are as well. And it felt like they beat a UNC team like playing off their game. Like this was not an A. This was a C- Florida game where they ended up being able to scrape this one out. All you needed is they obviously weren't bringing their A game. You just have to be able to find a way to get a win. They did. I like Clayton and Elijah Martin. Guard play wins in March. Those guys are tough. They're big. They're physical. They're skilled. I really like this Florida team a lot. National title contenders.
I'm going to name two more teams. Two more teams, and then I'll have you guys each list teams you still think are national title contenders outside of these two. Last two, one, Kansas. Is Kansas a national title contender?
That's one I'm out on. I feel like I've got to draw a line somewhere, and I feel like they're the one that I'd probably be out on. However, they've got like a lot of great, like their wins
You're
are
scared
at home.
of Bill Self. You're scared of Bill Self.
Bill Self comes for us all, like that's why you can't ever write him out. So it's like, it's a tricky, but I do need to have a stance here. They would be a team I'd be out on.
Ben and I have been so out on this Kansas team, and look, I'll go real quick.
And last year, too. We were out the entire time last year.
Last year, we got on that train early, and we got on even earlier this year. We're like, hey, they're a little bit better, but, guys, they didn't fix the problems. Kansas is not a national title contender. When your three best players can't shoot the ball, you're not a national title contender. Like, Zeke Mayo needs the ball more. He needs to be shooting more. When Dwan Harris, Hunter Dickinson, and KJ Adams are your best players, the defense is happy when any of those three guys take a jump shot. That's not a winning formula. That's not going to win in March, and it's not even winning in November and December, and it's definitely not going to win you 6 games in March. I don't think Kansas is a national title contender at all, even though I am scared of Bill Self, and he's probably the best coach in college basketball, him and Danny Hurley. Still don't care. I still don't think Kansas is a national title contender, Ben.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think you need AJ Storr and Zeke Mayo playing massive roles on this team. I think also, what's the common denominator between this year and last year? This is going to like come across as like a hot take, except I don't know if it is. I just don't think you can win a national title with Hunter Dickinson. I just don't know if you can. I think unless you just have guards who can just absolutely take over. Because I just think the problem is if he is you can't. I'll revise my statement. You can't win a national title.
No. Don't keep your statement. I think your statement's dead on.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say especially if he's your best player. If he's your like third best player, maybe, but like they're not gonna go away from him. I think there's times. I don't think they're gonna do it, but I think there's times where you need to either play like Badunga or move KJ Adams to the 5. KJ Adams is a good player, but they play him out of position all the time. He's one of those small ball 5s that actually works. That doesn't stretch the floor, but actually works. I think you need Storr and Zeke Mayo to be more of the guys, less so Dickinson, Harris, KJ Adams, the old guard that's been there for a while. Also, like, I thought it was a bad sign early when, what's his name? Like that Kansas UNC game, who's the guy who started that, like, we haven't mentioned? He's like, I've got to look this up. You guys can continue talking, but there was a guy who started one of those games that I went, oh, like that's a bad sign that he's starting.
Coit?
Because like
the backup
yeah, I
point
think
guard?
it'd be Coit probably,
Yeah.
right? 'Cause
yes,
he's from Northern Illinois.
It's Coit. Like, and nothing against him. Like, he's a solid bench role player, but when he was starting over some of these guys, I was like,
yeah.
That it, like, I don't know. It just feels like you're running into the same issues, and the common denominator with these issues is largely Hunter Dickinson, because what he gives you on offense, he takes away on defense, and you have like a really smart, heady point guard. He can't shoot the ball though. And just those two things kill him. I think it makes him a top 15 team, a team that could potentially make the second weekend. It limits their ceiling, especially when we're talking about this is a strong, strong year of national title contenders. All of those teams just have more shooting and better defense, and they're more versatile than this Kansas team.
Yeah, and the other thing I keep going back to the three. If you have 3 guys on the court in modern day basketball, college, NBA, even high school at this point, you're not that big of a threat in the grand scheme of things, because 3 guys can sag off and play help defense, and then everybody else, you're making the team around you so much worse. And you talk about Hunter Dickinson. He has to have the ball in his hands so much to be effective. But the issue with Hunter Dickinson is Hunter Dickinson puts up great stats at getting 21 and 10 probably a game, but he doesn't make people around him better. That's the real problem. Hunter Dickinson's better, but not the 4 guys around him. Maybe Dajuan Harris at that point because he's getting assist numbers, but it's almost like he's not a team player. As simple and vanilla as that analysis is,
I got you. Yeah,
it's almost as he demands it too much. But
he's like, I got 25 and 14. Let's go.
And
they like lost by 8.
Yeah, but I don't even know if he's that kind of guy. I don't even know.
No, that's not what I'm saying. But
it's just the way
he's a black
he plays.
hole. He's a black hole.
Yeah, and just how he's effective on offense. Like, you could say it's like how Carmelo was on the Knicks during those years, where it's like Carmelo's got to shoot 25 times a game, but you might make the playoffs. You're never winning a national or winning an NBA Finals as Carmelo Anthony's your best player.
And to go back to like that Michigan team in 2021, the reason Hunter was so good, that was a really good basketball team with a lot of guys that worked well together. It was not him. Like, he was a great foundational piece for the team, but that was a really good basketball team. So I would agree with that take. Yeah.
All right. I love it. Let's go one more, and then you guys tell me which ones I missed. The UConn Huskies.
There it is.
No.
No, okay.
Cole?
I'm buying back in. Listen,
You're
it's
a slut
hard
for
not
Danny Hurley.
to.
You're a slut for Danny Hurley. You love him.
I am. I'm horrible. Everybody will hate me for liking him. I think
He is that bad boyfriend or bad girlfriend boyfriend that's just taking advantage of you and emotionally abusing you, Cole. And just
he does emotionally abuse me because I watch him react like a maniac, and it's like, you know what? I'm ready to run through a wall with you, Dan. Let's go.
But then Coach K does it. You're like, oh, he's crazy. Like, you see your friend with an abusive significant other, and you're like, oh, they're crazy. And then when you have one, they're like, no, but this one's cool. This one's great.
Yeah, I'll be a hypocrite, okay? But you know what? Age has taught me a lot. And as I've learned and watched college basketball, we need people like Dan. And Coach K, he will always be the villain in my eyes. Coach K was great for college basketball. I don't care what anybody.
He was. I hate him.
Yes,
he was.
Exactly. And I feel like he embraces it a little bit. We need people like that. You know, it makes sports fun. It gives you somebody to look at. It gives you like something to
Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, like the Patriots, Chiefs dynasty. Like you need those.
Exactly.
The Chiefs dynasty. Chiefs are not annoying, other than kind of Kelsey. Chiefs
Whatever.
are cool.
Chiefs are very annoying.
Why do people hate the Chiefs? I don't understand it. Like, I understand. I can get if you're like, I'm not a fan of Travis Kelsey and all those antics and whatnot. I get that. How can you? I really don't understand how people hate Mahomes and Andy Reid. I really don't.
I love Andy Reid.
I don't. It's just the whole thing around them. But anyways,
no, it's just because they win. It's just because they win and your team doesn't.
All right.
That's all it comes down to.
My team doesn't win?
Well, that's what I'm. Well, historically, come on.
Historically, yes. The last 2 years.
And also, they're not winning the Super Bowl is what I'm saying. That team, you're seeing that team win the Super Bowl every year, and you're like, I'm bored with this toy. I want to see a new toy win the Super Bowl. And
yes.
No, this is awesome. I'm rooting for. I'm big time. I'm buying in on the Chiefs. Screw everyone. Carson Wentz to win a Super Bowl. Let's go.
Hey,
Carson Wentz over the Eagles. And okay,
sorry.
That would be
great, actually.
That would be crazy.
Sorry,
we actually need that.
Yeah, UConn. Back to UConn. I think
UConn
are a national championship contender because I just can't give up on Dan. And I don't know. It just takes them some time to figure things out. They've definitely bounced back with the wins over Baylor and Gonzaga. And I thought, my preseason list, those are two national championship contenders. I mean, I've changed my stance on that, obviously, watching them play. But, they're two really high-level basketball teams. The trip to Maui was I think it's just a wash for them. And I think that they realize that. In fact, I feel like they kind of even just gave up on the Dayton game because, they just got blew out. I mean, Dayton's good, but I don't think they're a good enough team to just blow them out. So
that Dayton win, that win for the Flyers is going to look awesome. Come on.
Oh, it's going to be great because I think UConn is going to win we'll get into some maybe some championship teams for conference play, but I think UConn, they're the best team in the Big East. So I can't ever give up on Dan.
Memphis, Colorado, and Dayton are all going to be looking at the committee in March and be like, we beat UConn on a neutral court. Like, you better let us in this thing.
I know, it screwed up the net ranking. Because I think
they're going to be like, Colorado, you're 16 and 17. No.
Hey, expand the tournament. We need to expand to get Colorado in because they won that game against UConn and Maui.
Quick sidetrack real quick. What's going on with Gonzaga? This team
They were another no for me.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. I'm sitting here watching Gonzaga play now. I'm like, this isn't even the same team I watched at the beginning of this season. Or
it's not.
I don't know if it was that first half against Kentucky or the West Virginia game they should have won the West Virginia game. That was inexcusable choking at the end right there. But
I'll give them a pass for this. They've been traveling a ton. So it's they'll go to New York City and have to play UConn. Then they'll have to go down to the Bahamas. That's super far from Spokane. So it's I'll give them a slight pass. However, they are not the same team that played against Baylor, Arizona State, because both those games, they were on fire offensively. And
San Diego State, too.
Yeah,
that was a good
the San Diego State game. That's a good point, too. And they went down to Bayhouse Center.
It's so mind-boggling, too, because they looked so good in that first half against Kentucky. And then the second half, they looked like they'd never picked up a basketball before.
I don't know, man.
But
they're hard to figure out.
UConn.
UConn. I'll cover UConn and Gonzaga in kind of one swooping just
the dogs.
monologue right here.
Yep.
Yeah. So for the dogs. With UConn, I think they do have they're very deep. They've got a lot of different pieces, like this sophomore class, like the guys who came in last year who didn't have a major role but have a larger role this year, like Solo Ball. Like I like him a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I do think though that they're lacking like a couple of those game-changing talents. They don't have Stephon Castle. They don't have Donovan Clingan. They don't have Jordan Hawkins.
The front
they
court.
don't have guys of that level in my mind. And like Liam McNeely, like I love him. Like he's a great player. But like he fills more that Cam Spencer role in my mind. Caravan, like I think like you were going into the season thinking Caravan is like one of those guys. Like I think he is a very good piece. I think he is a NBA rotation player. I don't think he is like your top option or two on a national championship team. I do think they don't have like the elite big man that they had in Sonogo and Clingan.
Yeah.
Samson Johnson's fine. I do like Terrace Reed. Like I think he's just a big specimen athlete and he's a decent player. But they've got a bunch of these guards. I don't think they really have a true point guard that you can rely on. Aiden Mahaney's been a flop for them, really.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to make that work. But like you're trusting guys like Solo Ball and some of these other younger sophomores and freshmen. Yeah, Diarra. Diarra, and then these sophomores and freshmen that like aren't quite these national championship game-changing level guys. UConn, I feel so good that they're a second weekend team. But I feel like they're not going much further than that. They're not just going to be able to sweep the floor with everyone like they did the past two tournaments. I don't see – like they're playing way better. They're going to be a good team. I just don't think they have the high-end talent that they did to win before. In Gonzaga, they score a lot of points, but I have issues with them defensively, specifically rim protection. Graham Ike and company at the five.
He's a fouling machine.
He's a fouling machine.
He's
but
dying
he also,
to get into foul trouble in the second game in March.
He can't defend the rim. They're going to score a lot of points. They're also like, look, Gonzaga always makes the Sweet 16. That's a shoo-in practically for them. The problem is there's way too many Sweet 16 shoo-ins. Like we might have 20 Sweet 16 shoo-ins this year.
It's a great season.
Yeah, it's a great season. Gonzaga's a good team too. They're going to score a lot of points. Late game issues, that's a problem. Protecting the defense as a whole and protecting the rim, especially with Ike. They've got an Ike problem there. That's why I'm out on UConn Gonzaga. That was long-winded, but
I think you nailed it. I don't think I need to add anything else. I'm not in on it. I think the talent isn't there. Go ahead.
Real quick, Ben talked me down from my ledge of Dan Hurley. You know, I'm just in love. And then he just said something that was makes a great point. I think I agree with Ben. Everything he said, I don't think they're a national title contender, but I do trust them to get to like a second weekend for sure.
For UConn, right?
It's a buy-in. It's a buy-in on Dan Hurley. Like before, you could buy in on Dan Hurley and the team. I don't think you can fully buy into the team. National championship hopes with this UConn team is purely in the coach, which is fine because he's the best coach in college basketball. Him and Bill Self. But I don't think that's going to be enough with how strong of a field it is this year.
You didn't mention Kevin Young as best coach in college bet, you know. Sorry, I've got to become a propaganda machine. So, what do you mean?
Hey, that's next season. Yeah. Even though this team's good too. So
yeah,
it's next.
Cole, I did want to bring this up. This is super random, but
okay.
So you're doing the hashtag. If you guys aren't on Twitter, make sure to follow him at Cole Adams.
Nice.
In the episode linked below. Make sure to follow. Great follow. A ton of great college basketball content. Check out his YouTube channel as well. It's in the episode link as well.
Thank you.
I wanted to mention this. You do the hashtag thank you CBB thing, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people are tweeting it and the hashtags are coming in or whatever. I think a communist country could actually use you to be their propagandists and create. And so you could, if you could thank you hashtag thank you Kim Jong, like Kim Jong Un, like this.
Hashtag thank you socialism.
Yeah.
Listen.
Hashtag thank you Vladimir.
Sellout, okay, I'm not a sellout.
So you're saying you are not going to use your talents for social media marketing for a communist country. You're telling
everyone
us
has
that
a price, Cole. Everyone has a price.
Listen, I
$5
love
million.
college basketball to death. Okay, what I just was tired of is
$7 million.
Is Pete? Listen, if BYU wants to pay me money, I will absolutely give Cougars propaganda. Okay, and a Cougars tail. Throw in one of those, and I'll get
you a Cougar tail. You might have to convert. I'll get inside. I'll get info on that. We might need you. We might need to get baptized, but
no.
$10 million. Communist country calls you and says, we need you to run a social media marketing campaign for Vladimir Putin or Kim Jong-un.
If as long as I can still talk about college basketball.
They're like, hey, you can still tweet about the Dayton Flyers, but
yeah,
we need you to push that Kim Jong is actually kind of a good dude.
Well, here's the thing, okay? Why I started doing what I did was because I just felt like, yes, everybody covers the sport, but we need somebody to like lead a charge to like make people aware that this stuff matters. And I feel like I have enough connections within like the sports community just based off my YouTube channel where I can be that person to like push some propaganda. You know, we need, because I love this shit. All right. I eat college basketball up. It is my favorite thing on the earth. I feel like I could lead a charge, you know, so I just started doing it. And then it just kind of, you know,
it's great. That's what I'm saying. It's so effective that I think you might be getting a call from a communist country saying, we need you. If a political candidate called you and said, Cole, we need you to run our social media campaign. You know, I'm running here. I'm trying to become the president. And, you know, I think we need you to run a social media campaign. What's your price tag?
Not enough.
10 mil. Cole, I'd smack you in the face if you didn't take that 10 mil. I don't care what party it's from.
So, what are we talking about next?
Let's do a quick fire here. We'll go through each conference. We name our conference winner kind of briefly because we've talked about these top teams quite a bit today. So, we'll go through, name our
regular season, correct?
Regular season / tournament. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, tournament's a little more of a crap. But regular season winner.
We'll do regular season because the regular season does matter, you know. So
exactly.
Yeah. It doesn't necessarily reflect who I think is like best suited to win a national title, though, or make a deeper run.
I think it's fair.
I want to put that caveat in before.
I think that'd be every year. So I think that's a good point.
Let's knock out some of these. ACC Duke, right?
Yep, that's a quick one. It's a quick one.
Big Ten. This is impossible.
I'll start because I've already got mine ready. And
Dusty May?
It's Dusty May. Are we all in on that? Hey, they've already got 2 wins in the conference, you know? And
I can't believe this. I bet on Yale money line. I bet on Yale. I bet a stupid amount of money on Yale in last year's tournament. That team stunk. I don't know how they beat Auburn. I mean, Bruce Pearl, should be a blemish on his resume forever. It was just a full-blown choke job. And
it was a choke.
I remember watching Danny Wolf, and I didn't watch a lot of Yale basketball last year. I'm not going to lie to everyone. I saw the numbers. I watched some highlights. I'm like, okay, I guess this Danny Wolf guy is supposed to be legit. And I remember watching those 2 games in March, and I go, this Danny Wolf guy, like, all right. And then I see he transfers to Michigan, and that's supposed to be their big portal guy. And I'm like, look, Michigan, yikes this year. This dude's legit. He might be Big Ten Player of the Year.
Yeah, he's been awesome. That's my pick.
He's the guard in pick and rolls.
Yes, and it's awesome. It's so fun.
Yeah,
it's like we don't get that every year, you know. And seeing him like on a national spotlight now every night, it's great.
I thought he was going to be Golden's backup. Like that's how I envision things going.
I know. That's the fun part about their team. It's like I feel like they're really going to start clicking more, and I'm all in on Michigan to win the Big Ten.
I think you could tell me there are probably 5 teams in this Big Ten. If you told me I think they're going to win the Big Ten regular season, I'd probably, honestly, 6 or 7 to be honest. Heck, this Big Ten is going to be so fun.
Northwestern.
You could throw in Northwest. You could throw in Purdue. Indiana, I think, is on the decline a little bit. I'd be kind of surprised if they did. Even Oregon, they're balling right now. I think.
And UCLA.
I think the travel catches up with UCLA and Oregon.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a little troublesome. But, Ben, who are you picking to win the Big Ten?
I'm going to say it's a lame answer. I'm going to say Purdue. I don't think they really have much upside when it comes to the tournament and whatnot. I think the team that has the highest upside from the Big Ten is Illinois, but Purdue with Matt Painter, I do think they own the Big Ten at this point. I do think they kind of in ugly fashion win a weak Big Ten conference. That doesn't mean I like them the most out of the Big Ten, but I do think they win it. I do really like Illinois. They might take a little bit, but I like the pieces they have there. They could make a deep run.
I like Illinois too. I think you're right about them making potentially the deepest run out of this conference.
But they're not going to win. They're not going to win the regular season title.
No, and they're going to fall to Northwestern on the road, and they're going to be like the 20th ranked team, and they're going to be underdogs on the road, kind of thing. But I still like Illinois, and I'm going to pick them in March. I already know it right now. Am I crazy to like Michigan State to win this thing?
I don't think so. I don't think there's a crazy answer.
I don't think there is either. I mean, it is. Ironically, I'm an anti-Big Ten guy. I'll say it. I actually really like it this year. This is what this is what I want to see. There's no elite team and whatnot. Like, there's just
fun
a
Big
bunch
Ten
of
basketball.
fun teams. It is going to be jumbled up. It's going to be chaos come February. There's going to be. I'm going to have to read up. I'm going to have to get a law degree and a PhD to figure out the tiebreakers in this conference when there's 18 teams. But you know what? That'll be a fun time come February. Big 12. Who wins the Big 12? Go. I'll start with you.
Cyclones. Let's ride with them.
Ben?
I mean, maybe Kansas, healthy, but Iowa State's just been so good. They've not shown me anything that I'm concerned about, really. So
it's Iowa State, and I also want to say with the Big Ten, though I'm leaning Purdue, but if it's not Purdue, I agree it's Michigan State. But yeah, I'll go Iowa State here.
I'll go BYU. I'm just kidding. I'm not going BYU. I want to go BYU. I need to put some propaganda out
Kansas
there.
State.
Yeah, put some propaganda out there.
I sniffed out this fraudish Big 12 in the preseason, Ben. We talked about Houston. We talked about Kansas State. We talked about Kansas. I was like, something doesn't smell right here. These teams, everyone automatically assumed Houston was going to be this elite national title contender team, but like Jamal Shead was so good, and losing Jamal Shead has proven to be a big problem for that team. Iowa State's got to be the pick here, but this is going to be the hardest one outside of the Big Ten, and it's the best conference by far, the SEC. Who wins it?
War Eagle.
Auburn.
I just think they're the best team in college basketball.
And you still think that I could see them just like dicking around a little bit in the SEC.
But they haven't done that yet this season, in my opinion. Besides, they lost to Duke, but I don't think that's like a concerning loss at all. Like that's one of the. So
that's fair.
I just feel like they've been so locked in.
Yeah.
Even though the plane incident, even that, I feel like maybe even brought them together a little bit more.
I mean, you look at this conference right now. You got Tennessee, you got Auburn, Kentucky.
It's a gauntlet.
Alabama,
it is.
A&M. This whole conference is just
Yeah, I mean, I was looking, and every SEC team is in the top 60 in the net, besides
crazy.
Besides South Carolina, and they're at 84, and South Carolina
and they beat Clemson.
Yeah, exactly. And
they have a great coach.
I saw Blake Lavelle tweet this. The SEC is 152-20 in non-conference play. That is an unreal number. 152-20.
And it's not like they've played crap schedules like the Big 12 did in years past. Like they're playing the top dogs in every other conference. They're just whooping them.
And I'm very anti SEC. Again, I'm very anti SEC propaganda as a propaganda guy. Can't deny the numbers here. They're really a step above everybody in college basketball. So it's like, that is one where I feel like we can really all kind of differ. I'm still just buying into Auburn because I just think they're the best team in college basketball.
Josh Pate for college football commissioner. That's what I'm hearing.
Not for me. Definitely not for me. Definitely not for me. I look out for the little guy. All right. I look out for the little guy.
I can't believe I'm assuming we're gonna have a kumbaya moment. I'm going to Auburn too for everything Cole said. Ben, you going to Auburn as well?
I'm going Tennessee.
Their regular season merchant. Is that what you're going with?
I think a little bit.
A little bit.
Like I do think, and I'm not even saying like that they won't have success in the tournament, but I almost think this is a situation where Tennessee wins the conference, but then there's maybe 4 other teams in Florida, Kentucky, Auburn, Alabama that I all like better than Tennessee in March potentially. But I think they all kind of beat up on each other, and Tennessee defense travels. I think that defense, that culture that they have, along with having multiple scoring options, I think they are able to scrape away an SEC regular season title. But I do think I'd prefer Auburn, Alabama, Kentucky, Auburn, or not Auburn. I said Auburn twice, Florida and March.
I didn't even mention Florida when I was talking about this. I mean, there's so many good teams.
So many
options.
conference.
The Big East, it's UConn versus Marquette probably. Maybe
St. John's.
Yeah, I was about to say maybe mess around a little Patino action. I'm down with it. I'm rooting for St. John's.
I will too. I'll root for them. It's great for the story. But UConn. You know how I am with Dan.
Yeah, you can't quit.
UConn.
You'll never quit. You'll never quit.
I'll go Marquette.
Yeah, I'm going Marquette too.
I think Marquette. Wow. I think they've got a really good team. I do have questions about them from a national contender standpoint because I don't think they're very deep. Yeah, but I do think they have a really good starting lineup, and
they have the best player in the conference too.
Yeah, Cam Jones, and then you've got like a guy like Cody Ross too, who's a great player. Mm-hmm. I think they're really solid there, but I think they're able to get through the Big East. But I do have questions about them in March just due to their depth.
I love it. Gotcha. Last thing we want to do before we wrap up here, Cole, I'll ask you first. Who is the National Player of the Year right before conference play starts?
So a lot of people would say Johni Broome, and rightfully so. He's been awesome. But Cooper Flagg, man, I'm just going to have to stick with. He's been awesome every night. He does everything. He can get them he had that one drive going left, lost to Kentucky, whatever. I'm still in. I love Cooper Flagg. I feel like the Carolina games are really going to take him to another spotlight that we've been kind of waiting for. The Kansas game kind of got him there because it was Thanksgiving.
The Auburn
whatever.
Game helped too.
Auburn game really helped. North Carolina
Isaiah
game.
Evans, shout out Isaiah Evans. He might be my National Player of the Year. I love that guy.
Yeah. So I'm sticking with Cooper. All right. And I love Johni Broome, but I gotta stick with Cooper. I think that he's been really good so far. So, and he just does everything.
I think Mark Sears could play himself back into this conversation if Bama rolls off 10 straight and he's putting up 25, 30 a night kind of thing. This really feels like it's becoming a 3-horse race at this point between Cam Jones, Cooper Flagg, and Johni Broome. Ben, it's probably Broome or Flagg?
Yeah, I think I'm going Broome. I think I'm going Broome just because the numbers he's putting up are crazy. I do think he's having games where it's 21 points, 20 rebounds, just crazy stuff. I do think he's the guy. I think Cooper Flagg though and Cam Jones, I think those 3 are maybe unanimous first team All-American selections though.
Yeah,
I think National Player of the Year comes down to those 3, but I'm giving the nod to Broome right now.
I'm looking at the odds right now. Chaz Lanier's actually 4th. Gilbert from Iowa State is after that. Then Sears is 75-1. Then Walter Clayton, Hunter Dickinson, RJ Davis. Then it just goes off a cliff after that. But I said Cooper Flagg preseason. I would still go Cooper Flagg. I think the one indictment on him compared to Broome is, let's say you take each player out of their team. I think Auburn is significantly worse without Broome. And I think Duke is still probably the favorites in the ACC even without Cooper Flagg. That's my only argument against him.
Good point, yeah.
But I think Cooper Flagg has been this dude's turned into an automatic 20 and 10 as a 17-year-old.
Exactly. It's he's been unbelievably good.
And
actually better. I feel like he's even been better than I expected.
Yeah, and he's passing the ball real well. He's getting 3-4 assists a game too.
And is he 18 yet, or is he still 7? It's
I think he turns 18 this week.
So it's it's
Flagg?
just
did he just turn 18?
Yeah, so it's just I don't think he's getting even enough spotlight that he deserves. I think that he's just been that good as a freshman. It's just because he's quiet.
He is legal on Saturday.
It's crazy what he's done
when
so far.
They play Georgia Tech. So bet on Cooper Flagg overs.
He's doing this against Kansas and Auburn. It's like, that's why I'm just like, he is really, really a special player. And I don't feel like he's getting near, as a propaganda guy, he's not getting enough attention.
It's kind of crazy too, because you're like, this is call it like it is. He's a big time white top NBA prospect from Duke. Like all the makings of a huge thing. It's like, I feel like
he just needs his moment.
He needs his moment. I feel like people have just become desensitized because they've seen so many, courtside films and hoops mixtapes of Cooper Flagg, and they see all the Instagram posts and they're like, yeah, I get it, whatever. But like, I feel like they need that defining moment. And I feel like if he could have had like a game winner against Auburn, it could have been that or something.
Yeah.
Or if he puts up like 35 and 15 against Carolina, you're right. I think that could be his moment as well.
Yeah, I think we need a game where people are watching him for a full 40. That's why I'm excited for like the North Carolina games. You soak in a full 40-minute game with Cooper Flagg, then you really kind of realize just how special he is. Because that is the problem with basketball. It's like, it's just become a highlight thing. Everybody just watches highlights. You got to watch him do everything, which he does. And it's everything. He's a special player, very special player.
I love it. All right. Anything else, Ben? You have anything before we go?
Don't think so.
No State of the Union for Virginia basketball, just in the toilet.
It's just all kind of meaningless until they hire someone new. So,
so the Sanchez train is officially dead.
The Sanchez is dead. Yes,
the Sanchez is officially dead. Virginia basketball all-time toilet. Shout out BYU.
Virginia is. They had throwback uniforms with kind of like Cavaliers in they were like nice throwbacks that they wore like a few weeks ago. At least I think we needed Tony Bennett to die to get the orange jerseys that are being unveiled tonight though.
They're wearing orange tonight?
They're wearing orange tonight.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at that.
That's what we're getting excited about. Ben.
No, actually, no. I'm not denying it. That does show where everything is at.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, as a Charlotte Hornets basketball fan, I get excited when I see the jerseys, and that's about it.
Yeah, I don't know why we waited. We unveiled 2 cool jerseys once Tony Bennett retired.
Wow.
So we wear awful uniforms.
I'm looking right now. The orange, you are not lying.
You can't play that style of basketball and have cool jerseys.
No, that's true.
Like, you just shoot a damn three-pointer for once and play fast. Like, have one fast break, for crying out loud.
Hey, they've went from slowest pace to 5th slowest in Division I, making changes.
Maybe he should stick around.
No, that is where my frustration comes, because they told us everything was going to be different, and then after 2 games, something went wrong, and then they go, my comfort blanket.
That's
running blocker mover and being the slowest. It's frustrating. They just need to Tony Bennett basketball without Tony Bennett. Even with Tony Bennett, it was going downhill. Without Tony Bennett, you fully have to scrap it. So
Virginia going from the slowest paced team to the 5th slowest paced team in college basketball is like when you watch My 600-Pound Life and they go from 586 pounds to 582 pounds, and you're like,
it's the meme. It's the guy who's shirtless, and it's like before, after, and it's the same picture. It's that meme. Yeah.
All right, that's it from us. Make sure to follow @Cole Adams on Twitter. All the stuff is in the episode link below. Follow all of his stuff. Phenomenal follow. # thank you CBB. @BD Hammond 28. @KarterBA. @KarterKast. Cole's going to be with us all season long. We know we're going to do. I cannot wait for March Madness, Cole. I can't wait for our March Madness stuff we do together. We'll do some fun bracket challenges. We're going to get a ton of people in a bracket challenge and do some super fun stuff. But we'll be with you all season long. Come conference play, we're going to be a lot more consistent as well. Make sure to subscribe, rate, review. We'll see y'all next time.